Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Anna, and I tutor Latin and a little bit of ancient Greek as well sometimes. And today I'm here to answer your questions with a question that I have been sent by email already. A friend of mine asked me, have you ever made a clepsydra? And could you help me get one done? Because I've been trying and I'm not sure. And I thought, well, I've never done one, so we're in the same boat there. But that's such a great idea. I have to try. So I did try. I did a clepsydra with the children, and it was lots of fun. So today I'm here to talk to you of what you can do around the topic clepsydra. Now, some of you are watching and have not studied the ancient world before or not in depth and are probably wondering, what is clepsydra? Is that some sort of illness with that name? Rest assured, it's nothing medical. It's no illness. A clepsydra is a water clock. It's a device to measure time with water. Literally, it comes from klepto, which means to steal or to hide, and, well, hydra, you will imagine from hydor, water. Yeah, so it's a device that steals or hides the water because the water runs away. It's going away from the device. Now, over time, different cultures, this is not a Greek invention, although the name that we use is Greek. Different cultures used water clocks because they're much more reliable than sun clocks. Obviously, you don't rely on a sunny day. You don't rely on it. You can be indoors. Yeah, so they're much easier, and they give really good measuring. So I've been playing around with my phone and counting, and it's pretty much always the same. So you can use them to measure time really well. So before I start, can I see who's there? I'm going to check in the chat. Can people say hello? Maybe you can tell me where you are, or whether you can hear me, or maybe if you've done a clepsydra before, how successful were you with that? There doesn't seem to be anyone. So I'll start talking about the materials that you need. And these are the materials I have come up with, which I think are easy, cheap, and everyone has at home, but you could use anything, really. You could even make it look very authentic. Before we start, I'll show you some examples of clepsydra, but not yet. First, I'm going to talk about the materials. So a yogurt pot, or any pot that you don't mind drilling a hole into. To drill a hole, I'm going to use this. This is a great invention. You use this for the sweet corn, and it works really well to make holes, and then you leave it around the table and nobody injures themselves, hopefully. And then a pot to collect the water. Now, I'm doing this in front of the computer. I don't suggest anyone does this next to any devices, particular devices that they need for work. I think I'm quite in control here, so it should be okay. But we will see. I am propping it on books that I also quite like, so hopefully we won't have spillage today. So you need the yogurt pot, something to collect the water, something to drill a hole in the yogurt pot. And if you want to make it more interesting for the children, you can use a timer on your phone, or just a timer, and then you can use a whiteboard marker. Or if you're going to write on the main pot, you can even use a Sharpie so that it doesn't go away. Okay, so before I get started, I'm going to show you some images of clepsydra, if the screen sharing working. Oh, there we go. So the one on the left is from Athens. This is 5th century one, I think, classical Athens. And as you can see, they would have been used. It's the most simple model. It just have a hole. The water comes out, and they would use this during trials in Athens to calculate the time that people had to speak. So the accusation and the defense, etc., so that it was fair and they all got the same amount of time to speak. So if you're using it with children to play, you could use the clepsydra. Some people use a sand clock, which is fun, but children love pouring water. So in the summer, why not use a clepsydra to time the children while they play with a toy? or whatever. And then you get a chance to tell them about timekeeping. So the one on the left is the most basic design. And the one on the right, the drawing, I think, is from the 17th century. And this is a reproduction, or an image of what we think the most sophisticated one that we have noticed of from the 3rd century BC looked like. So as you can see, this one had several mechanisms inside, and you also had a valve that would move up. And in fact, it would not only calculate a set amount of times, it is said that it could point at the time of the day. And this is really interesting because in antiquity, the times of the day, they were counted by hours, and the day was divided into 12 hours in summer and in winter. And the result of that is that in the summer, the hours would be much longer, and in the winter, the hours would be very long. So if you look well at this clock, you will see that it can be adjusted to account for that and tell you what hour of the day is it. Now, we're not going to be doing the serious one, although if you have all the children, it would be really interesting to show them and say, oh, do you think, how could we make it? How do you think this would have worked, etc. Okay, so we're going to focus on the really, really easy one. And the moment of truth, hopefully I won't get electrocuted. So this is my yogurt pot. I would suggest you do your hole towards the bottom. I don't do it at the very bottom because I just don't like it, but towards that, I just made like a massive hole. That wasn't very good of me. I think the water's going to escape on the sides. Why is this happening? Let me try again. It shouldn't have popped like it did. It should have just made a hole. You know, when I did my other one, I used my blowtorch in the kitchen, and maybe I should have used my blowtorch this time. Not that I blowtorch the yogurt pot, but I use a blowtorch on a stick, and then I just bricked it. Am I going to have to go downstairs now to get the other yogurt pot? It's quite bad. No, I think this is going to work. Let me see. How accidented. This is what happens when you do things live. Let me see. Yeah, well, it's not great. So I'm going to leave you with a timer, and I'm going to come back with a pot that has a proper hole in it. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. I'll put my timer. Where's the timer? There you are. Let's see if I manage to be back in a minute. It looks like I didn't manage, but that's fine. I'm back now. Let's see if anyone's talking to me. No questions. So this is one I made earlier, and it has more than one hole because I was trying different ways of piercing it. So I'm going to have to hold it like this. It's not going to be the best visual, but I think it should still work. Also, it's quite illustrative because one of the holes is small. The other hole is bigger, which means that we will have water going, well, it's quite basic, but we will have water going slowly out of one. and much faster out of the other one. Talking about which, my partner, he's a physicist, and he was explaining to me the reason why when it's full, the water goes very quickly. And when it starts to be empty because of the pressure, it goes out slower. And apparently the calculations are not very easy to do. So it's quite an interesting thing if you have physicists in the house. Then, actually, let me return this water to the jug. An easier way to do this, although it wouldn't look as nice, would be to just turn a bottle of, cut a bottle of water in half and then turn it around and make a few holes and let the water come out. But I just think when you can eat half a liter of lovely Greek yogurt, why would you buy a bottle of water? Which is a lot of pollution for the environment as well. Okay, so I'm going to do it, putting my fingers here. And this is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? Yes, it's not going everywhere. So I'm going to speak only while this lasts, which should be around 3 minutes. As you can see, this is how it works. You have the water coming out of the first pot and being collected in the second pot. Now, how do you calculate the time with this? Well, you have different options. As I was saying before, say, oh, you have, like they would have done with the pot that would. But if you want to make it interesting with the children, you could use a whiteboard marker if it's something that you need to reuse, or you can use a Sharpie if you want to use this one. And you can time how long it takes. I think this spot would take like 3 minutes. And write down, I don't think I need to show you anymore. You get it, yeah? Okay, so I'll put the water away before I destroy my computer. So you could write on the sides of the bowl 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and it will be interesting as well for them to see if the collecting point at the bottom is square and it doesn't have shapes, how the first lines will be further apart and then they will get closer to each other. Now I'm going to check in Facebook to see if I have any questions about this. I would love to see your water clocks. It would be great. I don't know if anyone, after I've made it so difficult, it's actually so easy. You just prop them within the other one and the water just flows. And then you write the lines for the times and then you can use it as a clock. And then you can talk about democracy and how people were given equal chance to speak, etc. in trials. Now, let me go to Facebook and let's see if there are any questions. If there aren't at the moment, because people are busy, that's fine. Just pop them in the chat and I'll be monitoring this. You can then rewatch this and ask any questions or give me a suggestion for next week. Next week, I'm going to do something a bit less physical. So I'll probably talk about books to read with the children or something like that. Something a bit more, less experimental. But yeah, just pop your questions in. I will also put a link to my newsletter in case you want to receive weekly tips for activities to do with the children, to talk about classics, talk about the ancient world. I hope you enjoyed the session and weren't too disappointed by my disappearance halfway through. And please do show me your clocks once you've done them. Bye.